My name is Willy Bolander. I study influence, persuasion, and leadership in selling and sales management, and I teach people how to sell. In this podcast, we'll talk to some of the world's top sales leaders and see what we can learn from them. Welcome to the Sales Lab. So the purpose of this interview is to talk a little bit about Ryerson and talk specifically about this question, what is technical sales, right? Mm-hmm. What does it mean for Ryerson? What different forms can it take? Ideally, you will just paint this vivid picture of what it means to be in technical sales, and I will just sit here and do nothing.
Oh, well, that's a lot of pressure on me.
Indeed,
but I'm up for it. It's all right.
This content is brought to you by the TSL Showdown. That's the Technical, Industrial, and Engineering Student Sales Showdown, hosted right here at Texas A&M University. We have over 200 engineering students taking sales classes every semester and a growing minor program in technical sales. These students are smart enough for STEM and savvy enough for sales, and the TIES Showdown allows them to demonstrate their selling skills in a role-play competition where industry partners, like you, serve as judges and provide them coaching feedback. If you're hiring for technical, industrial, or engineering sales roles anytime in the next couple of years, this is an event you can't miss. You can learn more at tx.ag/TIES. That's tx.ag/TIES. Hope you can join us. I'm aware that you guys have inside sales reps. You guys have outside sales reps. You guys have different types of roles that play a part in the sales function, right? So could you give us, let's start with an overview of Ryerson and what you all do and the different types of sales roles that you guys have.
Sure. Yeah. So Ryerson is we're a 182-year-old company, so we've been around for a minute. We are at our core a wholesale distributor for metal products, and that's almost any kind of metal product you can think of: stainless, aluminum, general steel, copper, you name it. We probably play in it in some form or fashion. About 20 to 25% of our business is something that, we would deem value add or has some sort of extended processing. And that's really where a lot of our technical sales needs kind of come in, right? That's really more of a solution sale, a kind of separate yourself from, the just basic commodity that is, steel and aluminum that, most of our competitors have and buy from the same places we do. Obviously our size being a fairly large publicly traded company with over 100 locations and 4,000 employees. I mean, we do have some economies of scale that we get to work from, but distribution is still that. It's distribution, and you got to figure out ways to separate yourself from your competition, and that's really where the technical sales side comes in.
Absolutely. So, can you give us a kind of a concrete example of what that value-added process could look like? Right. So, on the one end, we've got sheets of metal. How many tons of metal do you want? We'll give you that many tons of metal. Give me an example of a project that takes that raw ingredient and does what you just described.
It could be anything from just how we package that metal, how we stage that metal, where we stage it, how we manage the inventory in order for our customers to be able to manage their working capital better, all the way up to creating a first stage process or even semi-finished part that goes directly into assembly and takes processes out of our customers' plant. So, for example, let's say we've got an OEM that's building refrigerators, right? And their core competency is putting a refrigerator together. It's not necessarily making a door handle or a hinge or something that goes on the refrigerator itself. And they don't necessarily want to tie up floor space with equipment that they may not need to run 24/7 or staffing to run that through. They'd rather just buy the part. Instead of buying the metal, they'd buy the part from us. So we would take a sheet, send it out, laser cut, form, weld, whatever the process is, so that in addition to the raw material that we're already selling this customer for a variety of different things they may do, we'll sell them a semi-finished part as well, which, streamlines their process a little bit, creates more value on our end, creates a tighter partnership between the two of us. and removes some of the commodity pressures that we see on a daily basis with just the general line distribution.
The salespeople working in this environment, what is their day to day? As they're, I mean, I guess they're moving they're working on the commodity side, and then they're keeping their eye open for other opportunities, or how do they go about doing this?
We try and compartmentalize things the best we possibly can. So we do have salespeople, and I mean, one of the benefits with us is that we've got salespeople that go from the two-man machine shop all the way to the boardroom and everywhere in between, right? So there's all level of customers that we deal with, and they require all different levels of solutions, right? But when we get into something that's usually a little bit more technical or requires a solution above kind of, just a general, hey, here's some high level things we could do. We've got specific groups in our organization that are tied specifically to that we can bring in. So there's a phone a friend factor. There's a place for you to go that's, whether it be product expertise or whether it be a fabrication expertise or even supply chain or logistics, right? There's places that we can pull in to bring experts in to kind of help create those solutions for our team members. And we have some people that's all they do on a daily basis is they're just going out and dealing with those specific customers that are looking for something a little bit more than just metal.
When you encounter a opportunity where you could do something like this, are the customers already aware of it, or are you having to sort of pitch them the idea and get them to try to change the way they're thinking about things?
So that's the trick, right? Most of the time, a good sales rep finds a solution for a customer to a problem they didn't even realize that they had, right? So if you really want to get into where the technical sales becomes really valuable for us, is it starts with the sales rep themselves going and talking to the customer, probing, asking what their bottlenecks are, what are their problems, so that we can create a solution. Because a lot of the time, the customer, they don't know they have a problem, they've just dealt with it for so long, or they don't know that there's a better answer out there. So, it's that lost art of, you can't replicate being face to face with customers. You can't replicate walking through their shop or their plant, and all of the insight you can learn as a sales rep as to how you could maybe provide them something they weren't even looking for, and create an experience for them that either they haven't gotten anywhere else or they can't get anywhere else. That's really when you demonstrate your value.
Interesting. And so you mentioned that the salespeople might, I think you used the phrase phone a friend, right? They might be drawing on the expertise of others in the organization. Is it fair to say that, I mean, what I'm hearing you describe is that really the technical salesperson at Ryerson, their job is to be the expert on the customer?
Look, I think, you hear the word technical sales and a lot of times you hear the word complex, right? Or complexity, right? Like it's bringing a different level. And I don't know that I totally see it that way, right? I think it's an art, right? And it's the art of creating a solution, around a problem. Maybe they know it exists, maybe they don't. Now, that solution in itself could be really complex, right? But the idea of the rep is to identify where those opportunities are, right? And then if you need to bring in external resources to help create that solution, well, then they're available to you. But a lot of times, there's complex problems that our customers have where solutions can be really simple. And we try and gear our salespeople to focus on, like, let's not make it harder than it needs to be. If there's a really simple solution that solves a lot of problems on the customer's end, let's try that first, right? But it's an art. It's not something that I think, you just kind of go in knowing how to do. And it is something that's being driven in one single place. And that's where a lot of people think sales reps are quick to talk, and they're quick to talk a lot, right? I mean, most sales reps are, they're personable, they engage with people, and they tend to be talkers, right? The best sales reps are listeners. The best sales reps are people that listen to understand, not listen to reply. And there's a big difference there, right? So if you go in with kind of a preconceived idea of, hey, I'm going to solve this problem for this customer. I already kind of know what the answer is. I just need him to talk long enough for me to get my pitch out so that I can sell him on this solution. Then you're probably not going to get too far. You need to go in with the idea of really what is the problem, and then I can tailor my solution or give him an opportunity or her an opportunity based on what they need, not necessarily what I'm trying to sell. And for us, there's thousands of places where you can go. There's no shortage of things that we can do to offer the customer. We've been around a long time. I mean, I don't, pick a buzzword, VMI, JIT, value add, first stage, whatever you want to call it, we've done it, right?
Yeah.
But of the 1,000 things we can offer, there's maybe 3 that really matter to them. And you don't know what those 3 are until you hear them out, until you really listen to create the solution.
No, this is very good. So I'm hearing it's important to listen. I'm hearing it's important. Maybe we could talk about, have some curiosity, right? That when you see something going on the factory floor, that you're, aware enough and curious enough to go ask questions about it. I mean, because I can imagine that a lot of people in the distribution business, they have an excuse for doing what the status quo appears to be, right? I work for a metal distributor, so I sold metal today. So what else do you want from me, right? That's not my job. We're a distributor. Okay, sure, if that's what floats your boat. But the clever distributors are the ones that are going, okay, well, it's not really my business to make hinges. But if I make it my business, I can deepen the relationships with my customers. I can acquire new customers. I can make more money. I can create these value-added solutions. And that seems, that's like marketing 101 to me, right? That's, why do people do business together, right? Well, because they find a way to find mutual benefit, and, there's a product, but then there's all these services and other abstract things that get embedded, or, that the product is embedded in. And often it's those other things that are where the value comes from, right? Like I'm buying a car, but really I bought the warranty more than I bought the car.
Yeah.
Well, that's a weird abstract, it'd be easy for a car company to say, we make cars. We're not in the finance business. Of course, all of them are now in the finance business and probably making tons of money doing it. But so there's something that is difficult about that way of thinking for some companies and for some salespeople. How do you find the technical salespeople that are going to be really, really good in these roles?
Well, I think you have to look, you need to know what you're selling, but you also need to fully understand that you're selling a customer experience. You're not selling a product. If you're in distribution and essentially your product is the same as every other competitor out there, or you've got a handful of competitors that are all buying from the same place and have the same pricing set that you do, and you've got to separate yourself out. It's the service, right? It's the experience that the customer has with you that will resonate. And that will allow you to maybe make a little bit more. I mean, it's really easy, right? It's really easy for a customer to come back and say, well, your price is too high. And I'm not diminishing the fact that price is certainly a huge part of the equation. It is, right? You have to be competitive in what you do, but that's not really what they're saying. What they're saying is they haven't got enough value out of you yet to figure out a way around it, right? And so to find the right technical sales rep, you hit on it earlier, right? You have to find that person that's got that curiosity, right? That's willing to walk through the shop and just ask dumb questions. What is that? Where do you get that? How come you guys do it that way? Oh, show me how you do this, right? And through those conversations, you start to build A, a relationship with the customer, but B, you can start to kind of formulate a plan as to how you can offer him something that, or her something that nobody else can, right? Or at least hasn't yet, right? And being first matters there, right? But finding somebody that's got that sense of urgency, that curiosity, that willingness to create a great customer experience, you put those things together, it doesn't really matter what you're selling. You're gonna figure it out, and you're gonna find a way to give them something that makes their life easier, that makes their life better, and thus bolsters your relationship and creates a good long-term partnership with the customer.
No, I like that. I mean, it almost sounds like being an entrepreneur, right? I mean, the people who, in my opinion, are the best entrepreneurs are not those that have experience in a very narrow product line and decide, hey,
Right.
I'm gonna put all my chips on this product line. They're the ones that go around and just in society and in the world look for, we could probably do that a little bit better. If we change the way we did this, we could make it cheaper, we could make it better, we could make it faster. And so, to me, a serial entrepreneur is somebody who has, businesses across a variety of industries and fields, because it's not about the thing, it's about identifying where there's a problem, where there's a way that they can add value. And if you're walking through the world looking for ways to add value, then that sets you up pretty well in sales. That sets you up pretty well in entrepreneurship. That sets you up probably pretty well in relationships in general, I would guess.
I think that's right. And look, I think that's a great way for, salespeople in general to kind of approach the craft, right? And, for us, that's, we're a large publicly traded company, so entrepreneurship doesn't usually align with us. But the reality is everybody kind of is. And when you're a sales rep, you're building your own brand, and you want the ability to look across a bunch of different areas to be able to create solutions in order to do that, or question why things are the way they are. For us, we sell everything and do everything, which means the opportunities are crazy wide open, right? Between all of the processes we can do, between all of the products that we sell, between all of the places in the world that we can go get it, between all of the different, technology, platforms, everything that we have to offer the customer, there is so many opportunities. It's just a matter of finding somebody willing to kind of put that puzzle together and to figure out what piece fits best with another piece, and how those two come together. 1 + 1 = 3. But having that mindset as to wanting to try and figure that out, as opposed to just, I want to sell metal today. That's the difference.
And how would you explain this to a new hire or a prospective new hire?
Well, I think with a new hire, there's certain things that come in, and there are certain things that you have to be good at, in your craft of selling, right? There are fundamentals that you got to pay attention to. There's basic blocking and tackling things with selling that just, they have to happen, and you have to be disciplined about those, because the only change in fundamentals is your attention to those, right? So you can teach those things, and that's where you start. But then realizing that's just the base of where you go, right? Now, where do you want to take your career? Where do you want to go from here, right? Because if you're just doing the fundamentals, which you have to do to survive, and it's very important, because the second you lose those, you walk away from customers and relationships. But now, how do you expand on that and truly get to where you are thinking more along the lines of building a relationship and creating a customer experience, not selling a product? And it is different, and it all comes in the service, and it all comes in how that customer feels once they've completed a transaction with you. Are they coming back for another one? Do they want another one after that? Are they not even picking up the phone and calling anybody else because they're so happy with where you are? How do you get to that point? Because anybody can go in with a price and a lead time and sell what we do, right? Anybody can do it. But it's how you separate yourself beyond that is the difference. And it comes with coaching. It comes with, a willingness on that person's side to do something more and to be better, right? And to earn and to win, right? I mean, you think one of the best things about sales in general, and certainly this side of it, is if you are a competitive person at all in your life, it's hard sometimes when you get into business to find out, when do you win, right? You got a scoreboard, right? Every day. Sometimes it's quick. You walk out of the customer's office with a purchase order in hand and you close the deal and it's great. Sometimes it takes a little while to kind of get through some challenges and to get across the finish line. And those are even more rewarding when you get there. But you know when you win. You know when you win. And there's not a lot of places in the business world where you get that kind of gratification, or if it's at least, right there for you. And, especially in a world where, we want to win every minute, every second, every hour of every day, right? This is one of those careers that your work is rewarded and you can see it.
When I was growing up, I don't think I thought I was competitive, because I didn't really do sports. And, I thought, well, competitive people do sports. And now that I am an old man, I'm almost hyper competitive, but opportunistically so, right? Like I know that I'm pretty well convinced that at 5'6.5", no amount of practice is going to allow me to dunk a basketball. So I'm gonna not put too much effort into that. But when it comes to other, professional pursuits and things like that, it's, so when you say competition, it sparks my curiosity a little bit, right? Because it's a topic that I like to think about and talk about. And I know that sometimes people are competitive with the people in their office. Sometimes they're competitive against the actual competitors in another company. And sometimes they're just competitive against themselves. Do you see an optimal flavor of that competitiveness?
I see it comes from a bunch of different areas. Look, it's really easy to make, the comparison to athletics, right? I mean, it's really easy. And people that grew up playing athletics, it translates very easy for them, right? But I don't know anybody that doesn't like to be on a winning team. And it could be a video game. It could be anything that you've done in your life. You want to be on top, right? I mean, you just do. And especially even if you are not, quote unquote, the most competitive person and you're chasing down everybody at the playground to try and play one-on-one because you think, even if you're not that person, that's fine. But you'll find that, as you get through it and as you get a couple of wins, you close a couple of deals, you get on things, that's a drug that just keeps feeding you. And it is something that it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter where you've been. You get that kind of competitive streak in you. And the best salespeople have it, right? They have it because it's a personal drive for them to want to be better. I don't know a lot of people that don't want to be better and don't want to be on a winning team, right? I think almost anybody, certainly people that are in college, by themselves, they're trying to make themselves better because they're going to college, right? So, somebody wants it. It's in there. It's in everybody. It's just a matter of how much are you willing to kind of pull out to get there.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think there's something that happens when you're told you won at something, right?
Yeah.
You say, hey, you sold, you got the account, you hit quota, you beat quota, you made presidents, chairmans, whatever,
right.
Whatever circle, right? That I think even people who, if you were to give them a survey and say, how competitive are you? I don't know. I don't know that I'm very competitive. Well, there's something that it lights a fire under you to be told, hey, you did it. You won. Oh, yeah, there is that rush. There is that.
Sure.
I don't know if it's endorphins or what it is, but it's like, oh, okay, this feels kind of nice, right? Maybe I do have a role to play in this.
Nobody wants to hear you're not good. They want to hear you're good. You won. Congratulations. Good job. Way to go. Right. That's what they want to hear. Silence or anything else is nobody's attracted to that. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and actually, this makes me think a little bit about there's probably a better word for this, but the word primacy sort of comes to mind. Right. That kids that end up being really competitive at sports, I bet by and large, one of their first experiences with sports was doing something well and receiving praise for it, right? Whereas people who go in a different direction, maybe their experience was, I got up there, I tried, I sucked, it wasn't good, so that first experience can really color the way you look at
things moving forward, right? And I'm talking about it in terms of sports, but I mean, I see this happening in sales all the time as well, where for better, in good ways and in bad ways, that, okay, I start in sales, I do something, I close some deals in week one, month one, quarter one, whatever. My first experience is pretty positive, and now I'm hooked, right? And we think, well, this is good.
Yeah.
But sometimes actually you have some salespeople that achieve through dumb luck, but if they win, if their first experience is winning, and whatever they did to win, that's like fixed. That's like ingrained in their DNA now. So if they were engaged in behaviors that are suboptimal, good luck trying to get them out of those behaviors, because they could lose the next every quarter for the next 10 years and still remember, well, no, because when I first did it, I tried it this way, and you do see some odd things that initial reinforcement can really mess with people, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think that's why we preach fundamentals, right? Because luck's going to only last you so long. You could be the right place at the right time, click with the right person, and it looks good for a quarter or two, but to sustain it over a long period of time, you have to have the basic fundamentals, and that drive around those fundamentals will take you further on. Luck's not going to get you very far, but to kind of go back and some of the people that had success early, right, whether it be in sports or anything else like that, one of the things we find is sometimes they're not the best because they haven't dealt with enough rejection yet. They haven't dealt with enough losing yet, right? Because sales is a tough game, right? You get told no way more than you get told yes. And some of the people that had the kind of
succeeding, even when you're killing it,
even when you're doing good, right? I mean, it's the baseball analogy, right? The 300 hitter is 70% of the time not getting it done, right? And so finding people that maybe weren't the best at the beginning, right? That didn't have that initial success, but kind of worked their way to it. And it doesn't necessarily need to be in athletics. It could be, I don't know, a math competition, a chess tournament, whatever, right? But doing what it took to get there, those are the people that you see with really good, sustained, long-term careers in this, because they know that, behind every no, there's a yes around the corner. I just got to keep grinding, right? The people that embrace that grind, that embrace, taking care of details and doing the things you got to do on a daily basis to set yourself up to create those great customer experiences. Those are the ones that really do well and do well for a long time.
Well, and I guess, it's through those failures that we learn to adapt, that we learn to, coachability is something
Sure.
that comes up anytime somebody's coming on campus to recruit or whatever, nobody disagrees that coachability is a nice thing for a new hire. But it's hard to be coachable if you haven't taken a beating,
Everybody needs a few. Everybody needs a few. And you're going to get them. I mean, it just, the reality is it doesn't really matter who you go work for, what you do. Nothing is handed to you. Something bad is going to happen at some point in your career. How do you handle it? How do you respond to it? Where do you go from there? And look, it's a challenge for a lot of people, especially a lot of people that haven't dealt with a lot in their life. Sometimes it's hard for them to understand and know how to kind of react and realize that the answer is not complicated. You just got to buckle down and pay attention to the details and get back to doing the right things, and it'll all work out just fine.
We're moving back into our face-to-face lab sessions for all of our sales courses, which got shut down during COVID, and it's been kind of slow to get them up and running again. And this is it's a tricky area because I think some of the students are not used to being told, no, that's not good, do it again right now. And it's easy to attribute their behaviors to some deeper connection with who they are or something like that. And you say, no, nobody's saying that you did this wrong and you are bad. Nobody's saying you did this wrong and therefore you're not going to be a good salesperson. We're saying you did this wrong, so do it differently. That's it.
Yeah.
And as reflective as our behaviors are of our underlying, into this person, right? We can change them on a dime if we are flexible, if we're used to, if we're willing to it, to do it. Just really hard if you haven't been able to, But I think the sports are great, musical instruments are great. Well, hey, did I hit the right note? Well, you hit the right note, but you still somehow did it wrong. You need to add a little vibrato. Yeah. You need to, right. do this or that, and that level of almost asinine detail, right? You closed the sale, great job, but you could have asked a few more questions and found this. Well, what's up, man? You said I closed the sale. I did good. We're supposed to be high-fiving now.
Right.
Yeah, but we have to get into these details to make sure we're optimizing what we're doing. So
the next sale could be better, right? I mean, asking, the series of questions that gets you to a better solution, right? You close one sale, but how do you become more profitable in the next sale by creating a better solution for the customer, right? And look, if you get told no, it just means, all right, well, that one didn't work. Right. So good news. There's a million other ways to try it. So let's go to another one and let's see if we can get to that. I think having that willingness to kind of recognize you're not failing. You just haven't figured out the right code yet. Right. And having the persistence to continue, which is it's really big. A lot of people, they seem to be afraid of conflict, or they seem to be not afraid, I guess is probably not the right word, but unwilling to really kind of take it head on. Right. And I think it's because we're presenting it in a different or the wrong light. Right. So if you get into a situation where a customer's called you no, or there's something bad has happened, let's say worst case scenario, they've told you yes, but it didn't go well. Right. Didn't deliver on time. Product was bad. There's something, right, that the customer is just going to hand it to you when you go talk to them. You have to go in there with the mindset that this is an opportunity, right? This is an opportunity for me to further separate myself from the competition, because what you go in there thinking is that we failed them and that we're terrible and this never happens from anybody else. Well, guess what? Every one of his other suppliers fails too. Everybody else has a problem. It's how you respond to it that will separate you. So a difficult conversation can really be an opportunity for you to handle it in a way that creates way more confidence with that customer, where they know, hey, if something bad happens again, they know how to handle it. They know what to do. Or in worst case, I mean, in a lot of cases where you were just another guy, you were just another person. You got the order because of luck, right? Something went wrong, right? And so now it's either they're never going to do business with you again because you failed them, or you really showed up when it mattered. You moved stuff around. You created a better situation. You looked at it from the standpoint of like, okay, I know how this happened and I know how we can avoid it in the future. And I know something else I could offer you that would even give you another spin on this that would help you even more, right? Those are the best sales calls. Those are the ones that you really walk out like you did something, right? And you probably walked out with a customer for life at that point, right? Because they know how you're going to respond when things get tough.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. And back to this idea we started with, differentiation, right? Does this represent an opportunity to do something differently than your competitors would do that makes you more desirable for them to continue working with?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Imagining that you're talking to a about to be college graduate, and you've identified this person as curious and competitive and all of the things that we've discussed we like. What would you say to this person as far, why should they come work at Ryerson?
Well, I think assuming, they're the right person, they're the right fit. I think one of the benefits for them coming to work for us is what you want your career to be. I mean, we are a large publicly traded company, and with that, there's certainly some differences between us and a privately owned smaller distributorship, right? I would say, as you know, considering the size we are, we're a really relatively flat organization, and we don't trade in some of the politics and some of the stuff that you would see at normal companies our size. But still, we're not a mom and pop, right? Like, we're not. We have to play by some publicly traded rules, right? We got some things different. That said, our size gives us some value, right? I mean, we can offer some things in both stability and support that most companies can't, because we've got the size to do it, right? So when we talk about you want to get into technical sales, well, you're not on an island, right? You don't have to figure this all out on your own, right? You have to recognize the opportunity and then know who to call in to help, right? You got to know which relief pitcher to bring in to kind of get you the save, but that's available to you. And it's never going away. The other side of this is we offer opportunities for people to grow their career better than you can get almost anywhere, right? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? There's no shortage of opportunities in Ryerson for people that want to make plays and grow and continue to develop. And that may mean you still want to be, a sales rep for your life. And that's great. That's awesome. But you constantly want to be developing. You constantly want to be learning. You constantly want to be challenging yourself, regardless. And we offer a lot of opportunities, around that, whether it be continuing education or getting involved in, stretch projects within our organization for real problems that we need, teams of people to kind of come in and help fix and solve. That's really where I think the value is for us and you see it a lot with us. I've been with the company for 27 years. Straight out of A&M, out of the ID department, on the desk, with no thought that I was going to work with this company for more than like a couple of years and then move on. And 27 years later, I'm here. And the reason being is there was always a new challenge. There was always a new opportunity. There was always a place for me to continue to grow my career and myself. And I don't think that exists in a whole lot of places, especially when you get into some of these smaller facilities. You can only go so far, and I guess maybe if you marry into the family or something like that, you might be able to take it up another leg or two. But with us, you're unlimited as to how high you can go.
Well, I think this is certainly in line with a message that we're trying to communicate to the students as much as possible, especially with the technical sales minor growing. That, look, this is something you guys need to be really good at this and open to going into sales because you want a career in sales. You love it, and it's what you want to do for the rest of your life. And you also need to be involved in this if you are certain that that's not what you want, that you do not want a career in sales, but you realize this is where smart companies start good people. And, you want to move into these other areas. You want to be in upper management. Great. Get on the front lines for 2 to 5 to 10 to 15 years, do some cool stuff, get some accomplishments on the scoreboard so that when these opportunities become available, they're not looking at you saying, okay, Mr. Bolander, you applied for this job. Why? Because you want it? Well, a lot of people want it. Who cares? What have you done? Right. And so this is good to hear. So I'm hearing support. I'm hearing flexibility. I'm hearing career trajectories and always being able to have a new challenge in front of you.
Yeah,
which I think is very important. I don't know if the 20-somethings understand how important that is, but I think that's pretty important. I think at some point everybody gets a little stir crazy if things are too monotonous.
Yeah, and I think, look, going into sales, and for us, there's a tremendous amount of avenues you could take in our company once you're in, right? Supply chain quality, operations, IT, you name it, right? There's a ton of different directions that you could go. But, at our core, we're a sales organization. We work for the boss, and the boss is the customer, right? Because without the customer, we don't really have much to do. And so I think if you can ingrain that, early on in your career, right? And really understand that if a sales rep is working through somebody in supply chain or operations and trying to create something to get, something out the door, or having, people have to figure out some sort of different process for us to take care of a customer, it's not because they're being a pain in the butt. It's because there's a customer on the other end of the line that's requiring something different, right? And if you come directly into one of those areas, you don't necessarily always appreciate that, right? Whereas if, I tell people all the time, I'm like, until you've been yelled at a couple of times by a customer, you probably don't get it. I mean, like until you've had to kind of face that music a couple of times, you probably don't fully understand it, right? So, so to have that kind of thought process going in really kind of helps you. And remember the fact that it doesn't matter what career you're in. It doesn't matter what vocation you're after. Everybody is selling something at some level for something, right? You are, whether you are going to the bank to try and sell them on giving you a loan for a small business, or you are trying to, pitch for customers for an accounting firm, whatever you are, you're having to sell something. As you get further up in your career, you might just be trying to sell for CapEx so that you can improve a facility so you can offer something else to a customer. There's always something that these skills align with. And to be able to kind of come in and build around those, it will set you up for success. There's no question.
Well, I'm looking at the clock and seeing I don't want to keep you any longer than I told you. Do you have any final thoughts? Things that younger people should know about technical sales, about Ryerson, about life in general?
I don't know that you want me talking about life in general. No, I think the only thing that I would say to people is that, regardless of what you do in your career, realize a couple of things. One, it's going to be hard, right? There is going to be hard times. You get to choose which hard you want, right? You can, and you can choose like discipline is hard, or cleaning up because you weren't disciplined is harder, right? So you can figure out which side you want, but realizing that it's going to be hard, and there's going to be a part of it that's a grind. I think a lot of people especially come in and they think, hey, I see like an outside sales rep and they seem to have a lot of free time, and they're taking customers to dinner, and that looks like a pretty glorious life. And there's a lot of it that is, right? But there's a whole lot of hard work behind that too. And to recognize that coming in, that if you want to be good at something, you're going to have to get your hands dirty. You're going to have to do the work. If you do in this profession, you're going to get rewarded, right? But you got to know that coming in. Nothing's going to be easy. Nothing's given to you. But man, if you just do it, you pay attention to the fundamentals. There's a really good opportunity for you to come in and do well and grow in any organization, just from that alone.
Absolutely. I like to pick on the students a little bit with this this phrase, this proverb, I don't know, that people I love and respect have told to me, and I assume you've probably had it told to you. Maybe we've even told it to other people, but it's this, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And I think that sets especially young people up for a very confusing experience when, okay, you start your new job, day one doesn't feel like work. You love it. It's great. It's right. Day two, all right, some stuff starts happening day two, week two, month two. And at one point they wake up and they go, man, this feels a lot like work. But, my successful uncle told me that if I love what I do, it won't really feel like work. And going, no, it'll feel like work,
Yeah, no,
and your observation about, okay, the salespeople get to go to dinner and stuff. Well, yeah. And then they're up late doing follow up. And the same is true for famous athletes and actors and actresses, like they sit on their butt in a trailer for very long periods of time doing nothing. That's probably pretty frustrating. I sit in a makeup chair for 4 hours to get turned into a superhero or something.
Yeah.
That probably feels like mundane, painful, irritating sort of work.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, I'm a Mavericks fan, so I'm still processing the fact that they could trade Luka away, But Luka, I'm sure he loves playing basketball. I know that you watch that guy play basketball, and he loves playing basketball, right? And that's not work to him when he's on the court. But when he's shooting 1,000 free throws, when he's taking 40 fall away shots, when he's in the gym, when he's running sprints, when all that, that's work.
Sprints, yep.
And that every bit of that feels like work, right? But it's what you got to do so that when the time comes, you can shine and you can be really successful. So I'm with you. There's a lot of old cliches that don't necessarily always translate as well as you would like them to. But but at the end, it gets back to the same thing. If you're willing to be disciplined, take care of details, be creative, and for God's sakes, have some fun. In any job that you do, anywhere that you are, try and find a way to smile a little bit and have some fun. Enjoy the people that you work with. The work part, it'll feel like work, but it won't be quite as bad as you think.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think your words about choosing which flavor of hard you want and accepting that it'll be hard. And, if we wanted to get philosophical about it, I'd say, if you have a sense of purpose about what you're doing, then you make sure that that's bigger than the hard work days, the mundane, the struggle days, right? Anyway. Well, Alan, I appreciate you joining us. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the enduring the technology switch with me while we
no problem.
Switched around different systems here.
No problem. Happy to do it. Happy to support the program in any way I can, and it's fun to talk about sales. I've moved up a little bit higher in my career, so I don't get to do it on a daily basis as much as I used to. But man, it's good stuff. It's a lot of fun.
That's it for this interview. I hope you got something valuable out of it. Of course, if you did, be sure to subscribe and rate this podcast on whatever app you use to listen. Also, share this with your colleagues and friends, and let's continue to have a deeper discussion on all things related to selling and sales leadership. See you next time in the Sales Lab.